A century of sightings say a living dinosaur lurks in the Congo. Scientists say it's a hippo or elephant. Yet locals keep reporting the same shape, the same wake, the same fear. Meanwhile, classical authors insisted on headless tribes roaming North Africa. Absurd, maybe. But the evidence trail, from Greco-Roman texts to modern interviews and field footage, tells a stranger story. Many monsters were real animals seen in the worst light. Let's test each claim against fossils, field data, and footage. Tonight we're unpacking 7 African creatures that terrified travelers, pairing each legend with the best evidence we have: texts, fossils, and modern behavior. Some will shrink under scrutiny, some get stranger. All will make sense by the end. Together, carefully. Let's dive in. The first prehistoric predator in our list is Spinosaurus aegyptiacus. Here's the shocker. This giant theropod wasn't just wading. It had a tall, paddle-like tail built to drive it through water. At up to 15 meters, with a crocodile-like snout and back spines, Spinosaurus looked like a chimera of sail and crocodile. Its nostrils sit higher on the skull than most theropods, and the tail vertebrae flare into long, flexible blades, optimal for lateral undulation. Imagine a school bus length of muscle and bone carving a river's surface. In 2020, a team led by Nizar Ibrahim described fossils and ran robotic flume tests showing the tail's hydrodynamics produced thrust comparable to aquatic vertebrates. The nature study overturned the old image of Spinosaurus as a land-only hunter and cemented it as the first non-avian dinosaur with adaptations for swimming. Most researchers see a fish specialist patrolling channels and lagoons. A minority argues for a shoreline ambusher. Either way, the fear makes sense. Imagine meeting this at dusk. From a swimming dinosaur to a serpentine whale, our journey now follows the water. The second one is Basilosaurus isis. The startling part is the name, king lizard. Yet it's no reptile at all. It's an early whale that shows mammals fully committing to the sea. Skeletons from Egypt's Wadi al-Hitan stretch 15 to 18 meters, long and serpentine, with tiny hind limbs that no longer bear weight. Jawbones hold carnivorous teeth. Vertebrae stack like a flexible whip. Picture a bus-length mammal built like an eel, sleek, predatory, and utterly aquatic. Wadi al-Hitan is a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it preserves this evolutionary pivot. Reports and syntheses describe fossil beds that map how 4-legged land mammals became ocean hunters, with Basilosaurus and Dorudon lying in the same seafloor sediments. These remains, weathering from Eocene sandstone, give us a timeline rather than a tale. Science here is straightforward. These whales were apex predators of their sea. The debate isn't whether they swam, it's how they hunted. Either way, the valley's fossils anchor the difference between myth and data. Science settles some monsters. Others lived only in the margins of ancient books. Our next stop. Next up is the Blemye, the so-called headless men. The twist is how seriously ancient writers treated them. Eyes and mouth set in the chest, roaming Ethiopia at Africa's edge. For educated Romans, this wasn't a campfire story. It lived in their reference books. Descriptions trace to Pliny the Elder's Natural History, which lists tribes in North Africa and places the Blemye among them. Medieval copyists illuminated the scene, fixing the image. A chest with staring eyes, shoulders where a neck should be, and a mouth over a torso. What explains it? Scholars point to rumor chains, mistranslations, and the coincidence that a real Nubian people, Blemmies, shared the name. Travelers' marvels spread faster than corrections, and maps filled their blank corners with bodies shaped by fear and distance. Modern consensus is clear. Literary motif, not zoology. The endurance matters. If heads can migrate to the chest, the next creature solves the problem by swapping species entirely. If one marvel survives on parchment, why not another? If heads move, in other tales they become the heads of dogs. Number 4 awaits. Number 4 on our list, the cynocephaly, dog-headed men. The startling claim appears in sober texts. Writers repeat that tribes with canine heads lived beyond the familiar lands of Libya and Egypt. They're said to understand language, hunt in packs, and howl rather than speak. Herodotus's Book 4 catalogues wonders and peoples on Africa's margins, and later authors riff on the theme. Medieval thinkers even debated whether these beings, if found, should be baptized. It sounds absurd, until you consider how easily travelers misread animal-headed deities, baboon troops, or distant tribes filtered through interpreters in time. Science doesn't weigh in here, anthropology does. Dog-headed men are a mirror held to fear, strangeness, and cross-cultural noise. Yet notice the pattern. Powerful jaws, forward-set eyes, night voices, danger at the edge of camp. Those anxieties have biological anchors in Africa. Leave the scriptorium and enter the rainforest and riverways where cameras meet legends. From parchment to peat-dark water, we head for the Congo basin, where a long-necked shadow still stirs paddlers' nerves. Our next creature waits. We leave myth. Cameras roll next. The fifth creature we'll explore is Mokele Mbembe. The shocking claim is simple: a living dinosaur in the Congo basin. Witnesses describe a long neck, a bulky body, and the power to overturn canoes. Expeditions came back with stories, sketches, and ripples, rarely anything testable. When modern reporters revisited the region, a different picture emerged. Deforestation squeezes wildlife into tight waterways. Elephants swim with only head showing. Hippos surface, yawning and throwing wakes that look like humps. Locals interviewed describe shapes, in the same places, at the same hours, dusk and dawn, where hippos dominate the channel. Science favors misidentification. Hippos are the deadliest large land mammals in Africa, implicated in hundreds of deaths each year. And they capsize boats, scenario feeding these stories. Without bones, tissue, or consistent photos, the dinosaur hypothesis collapses under biology and known behavior. The mystery isn't solved, it's reframed. If a lake monster can be a hippo glimpsed at the wrong second, a flying reptile can be a real bird in bad light. Think dinosaurs flying? Let's test a flyer against wings and beak, the next case. Moving to number 6, the Congomado. The hook is vivid. A boat-attacking flyer with a bat-like outline, reported in Zambia and neighboring regions since the early 20th century. Frank Melland recorded testimonies in 1923, describing a reddish creature with a long beak and a wingspan, big enough to frighten seasoned paddlers. Set the legend beside a real bird, the shoebill. It stands about a meter tall, carries a massive shoe-shaped beak, and spreads wings to over 2 meters. Territorial pairs defend nests fiercely, and at dusk, a gliding silhouette looks startlingly prehistoric. In wind or rain, a low pass over a canoe would feel like an attack even if the bird was crossing. Science's verdict points to misidentification. Shoebill first, large storks, or fruit bats second. That doesn't make the fear less real. It makes the explanation. Map shoebill range and the match is clear. Replace pterosaur with bird, and details click into place. From sky terrors to serpents of stone and diamond, fear adapts to its landscape. Our final creature waits among desert canyons and old mining tales. The 7th entry is the Grootslang. The claim isn't zoology but lore. A great serpent of the Richtersveld, guardian of a treasure cave whose diamonds lure the greedy to their doom. Accounts describe an ancient creature older than men, sometimes with tusks or gem-bright eyes, dwelling in a wonder hole, linked by underwater passages to the Orange River. What stands behind it? Likely the landscape itself. Canyon shadows, rock pools, and real serpents that thrive in the heat. Southern African pythons can exceed 7 meters. Seen at night across water, a wake and a body become myth in seconds. Add diamond rushes, missing travelers, and whispered bargains with a snake that loves gems, and the legend locks in place. There is no specimen, and no photograph rises above storytelling. Yet the tale persists because it fuses risk and desire. Wealth underground, danger coiled around it. As folklore, the Grootslang explains why some paths should not be taken lightly. From swimming dinosaurs to serpents guarding stone, we've crossed science and story. Time to close the book and leave one question open. We opened with explorers who swore impossible creatures were real. After fossils and field scents, the picture sharpens. Some monsters never lived. Others lived long ago. The rest are powerful animals seen at the worst moment. Spinosaurus swam on a tail built for thrust. Basilosaurus turned mammals into sharks' rivals. The Blemier and dogheads lived on paper. The bigger pattern is clearer than any single sighting. Fear plus distance gives you marvels. Scholarship trims them back. Biology explains the rest. And yet, across river and desert, the same shapes return. Long necks, vast wings, serpents in caves. Because our brains notice threat before truth. That's why the footage feels convincing when it isn't. Which case still nags you, and which explanation won you over? Drop pick in the comments. For the deep dive, subscribe as we test Asian lake legends against the same test. Final thought, call it myth or monster, clarity beats fear.